has kind of taken the spot of Finn Balor. Finn Balor was the guy that went out there and did the high flying moves and the acrobatic guy, the flippity floppity stuff. It looks like Ricochet is now the guy that's kind of taken over Finn Balor's spot. What are your thoughts on this? I'm seeing people in the chat room right now kind of not liking it, saying, "Look how far he's fallen. Now he's on NXT." When not even maybe half a year ago, we were begging for WWE to move guys like Finn Balor and others back down to NXT.
It's because of AEW.
I see Bob Arusi mentioned in the chat that Finn Balor needs a whole different type of character, and I agree with him. He's not going to be facing Undisputed Era alone. Wondering what else they're going to be bringing on with him, because even he said that he might be bringing some people with him. He's not going to be coming alone, I think was the words that he said. What was your thoughts on this, Dave? Excuse me. And are you excited for Finn Balor in NXT? And I'll get to the comments.
I don't think it's a slap in the face like people are saying or a downgrade, because he just went from being Mr. Irrelevant on Raw or SmackDown, whichever show he was on, I don't remember, to basically being on the hottest night of the week for pro wrestling. And he's going to be a main focus on the show. He's going to be one of the top stars in NXT. And you're going to have AEW, NXT. You're going to have it's the hottest night of the week to be watching pro wrestling. Raw and SmackDown probably aren't going to be like this, obviously. So he's going to be one of the main focal stars, and he's going to be a big part of this whole runaround. So I don't see how it's a slap in the face. I think it actually helps NXT out, get another big star down there. Even though NXT, because he was one of the guys that people thought for a long time was carrying NXT by himself because he was the big star down there. And now he goes back, and he could be the guy to take on Cole and win the title back.
Now, Bob Ruski says this was the only talking point of the night. Yes, I don't believe there was any more talking.
There really wasn't much of that.
Other than just that part of NXT. Mr. Marion Watson says, I remember the good old days when people begged Vince to send people such as Balor back down to NXT. Wow, they really are desperate. I guess when you've got 1,000 active workers on your roster, you might as well distribute them across your various brands. We'll probably see guys like Cesaro and Zayn end up there too. Damn, that's a slap in the face for him to be sent back to NXT. Triple H can sugarcoat it all he likes. It is still developmental. The roster is full of green rookies. I can't see him moving the needle for NXT either. So far, AEW is providing a more entertaining variety show, varied show, and it feels like a major. Going from the Universal title in a main event match at SummerSlam, wrestling in front of 3 million plus people on the USA and crowds of 8,000 to 10,000 consistently, to 1 million viewers on NXT, 400 people in the crowd. Jesus, just yikes. I would be pissed if I was Balor. I don't think Balor's pissed at all.
I think he's happy. He looks like he's
women down too. I hope so, man. I hope they. Now, here's my question for you. Now that AEW beat them in the ratings, and by a pretty good margin, do you think WWE is going to hit the panic mode? Do you think next Wednesday we see some more guys from the main roster show up and announce that they're joining NXT?
I mean, we could. But I don't think they're hitting the panic button. If anything, they're going to think they need more stars down there. And I think they're going to get them because that's the big difference, because they have the whole WE. If Vince agrees to it, they can send anyone they want. If it gets too bad, they panic bad enough. We're going to see Brock Lesnar as
Roman Reigns show up on NXT.
We're
going to get Roman Reigns and Adam Cole for the NXT World Championship. Yep, it's eventually probably it will happen if things.
How long till someone calls out Triple H and he has a match on NXT?
There you go.
Or Shawn Michaels.
Hey, I wouldn't mind that. Hey, Shawn, there you go. What's your question, Red Sox fan? Answer my question. What did you ask?
You didn't ask a question.
Has NXT created any new stars in the last 2 years? Relax there, Red Sox fan. Relax. Ricochet, he's becoming a star, I would say, right?
Yeah, but he wasn't. He's talking about homegrown NXT
Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, but that's been more than 2 years.
That's probably the only one I could think of the top of my head. Is it working for Fandango and Breeze there, at least on TV and on NXT?
They've
Yeah,
only been there for like a couple weeks.
I like
They haven't been there
NXT,
that
but it
long.
feels like a demotion to be sent back to it. They should do it for someone like EC3, who I think should try to go to the MJF route or a privileged jerk, who's a good wrestler. Hey, I like that idea, Steven. That's a great idea. Very, very good idea. I can't think of any off the top of my head in the last 2 years that have been homegrown talent because they haven't had homegrown talent. They don't have a lot of homegrown talent. We all know that, Red Sox fan. You're answering a question you already know the answer to because you
Yeah,
want to
they
hear us
basically went.
dog the WWE because it gives you a freaking boner. All right? We get it. WWE picks and choose who they want from all these other organizations and indie promotions. We know what they do. We know what they do. You're not sideswiping us with news that we haven't heard of before. We know Keith Lee and Riddle and Adam Cole and O'Reilly and Fish and Roderick Strong and Dijak and all these other guys that have been in the NXT have came from other organizations. We know that. We know that. All right, you're not
Okay,
telling us stuff we don't know. Yes,
you
I
can,
mean,
if
you
you
could
want
say
to.
Elias. You can say Elias, I guess.
I was gonna say you want to bitch and moan about NXT not having homegrown talent, but AEW is filled with a bunch of stars. I get it; they just started, but they're filled with a bunch of stars that were made somewhere else. So what's the difference? And why does it matter if
Red
NXT
Sox
has a
fan
bunch of stars somewhere
doesn't
else?
see that. Yeah, but when was the last time people actually cared for Elias? Baron Corbin, that's a good one, but he said the last 2 years. But Baron Corbin is probably the number one on the. I would say Kevin Owens too, Sami Zayn. I know they're not getting treated as stars. Well, Sami Zayn at least, but Sami Zayn was already pretty huge, I guess. I don't know. By the way, who's the AEW World Champion and how old is he?
Yeah, but who cares if there's not homegrown talent in NXT?
Yeah, that's what I want. What does that
Why does
matter?
that matter? I mean, why does it matter at all? I mean, look at AEW. They don't have no one who was freshly made. They're all stars from somewhere. Half of their roster came from or a good
What
two,
about what about
4 or 5 guys.
but why does
WWE.
that matter? If there's homegrown talent on the NXT roster, that doesn't matter. Like not every WWE has picked and done this for years. Why does it matter all of a sudden who's homegrown or not? Like who fucking cares? Yeah, but that's I already read that. I'm sorry. Motherfucker, tonight when Jericho was at the Rangers game on the Jumbotron, they said Chris Jericho, WWE superstar. No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
I bet you they
No, they
did.
did not. Owens wasn't made in NXT. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Kevin Owens, like a lot of these guys were already made stars. There's very far between, like Velveteen Dream, Baron Corbin. You know, a lot of other people they've picked and choose everyone from different organizations. There's no homegrown. There's hardly any homegrown. Will Triple H lose
Kona
control of
Reeves.
NXT to Vince due to AEW? Not that now that AEW has been shown to be a formidable competitor, Vince will want to take over NXT and make sure AEW won't become a threat to SmackDown or Raw. I predict Hunter losing control very soon and Vince fully being in charge. Your thoughts? Don't think it'll happen.
I don't
I'm
know.
saying NXT's had the same guys on different cards. Have they created anyone new? No, but hopefully that's what they're trying to do. We know we're getting Keith Lee. We're getting Dijak. We're getting Kushida. We're getting more of Walter. We're getting more of these guys that we didn't see when NXT was in 1 hour show. You know, we're getting more of a Pete Dunne. We're getting Damian Priest. You know, we're getting other guys that we haven't seen before. Now that the show is 2 hours long. You know, the show was an hour long. They could only do so much. If they created anyone, they're still in the PC. Yep, there you go. Like, is Riddle or Keith Lee a big deal on the show? Yeah, I would say Matt Riddle's a big deal on NXT, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Keith Lee, I think he's getting there. But absolutely, Matt Riddle is one of the bright spots of NXT. He's one of the biggest, I would say the biggest cheered guys on NXT.
I don't know because I could see something happening if if Vince doesn't see improvements, he could easily step in and say, "Okay, we need to change this show up." I could definitely see it.
I don't really think they would go that route, but I do think if it gets worse, that we will see some changes. But here's the thing: if I'm WWE, I'm not panicking. Yeah, they hit 1.4. That's an awesome number. Let's see what they get on, next week, and the week after, and the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that. If they continue to hit the same ratings or get higher, then if I'm WWE, I'm really starting to a little bit panic. Then you got to think what we got to do to get people to start watching our show over AEW.
And Pete Dunne wrestled last night. He was talking about Pete Dunne.
Yeah, Pete Dunne wrestled last night. He's going to be in a new feud. We're going to touch on it. They definitely should show off the PC more, do a show. Didn't they say, aren't they doing a show around it, Bob Ruski? I think I saw you tweet something or retweet something about it. Or maybe it was someone else. They were talking about they're going to do like a PC thing.
Oh, I don't know. But I know they do a PC YouTube channel where they introduce you to.
Yeah, I saw the link, Marion Watson. Is that where they